Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to our coffee times to talk about horror, and today I bring you a very exciting video because we are going to take a look at some of the January releases when it comes to horror and thrillers. We're starting the year with a lot of releases. I have a list of a total of 36 releases, and these are all horror and mystery thrillers. So January comes packed in case that we have any money left over from Christmas, which I'm guessing most of us don't. We are being bombarded with new releases to put on our wish list already. So I'm gonna go through all of the books that are coming out. I always do it in publication order. So let's get started.
It's coffee time.
We have The Seven by Robin Delby, and this is a crime mystery thriller. This seems to be a book very focused on a very specific case. So there was a bomb that was detonated, and then a group that is well known in the UK called The Seven claimed to be responsible for these bombings. So now they have to go to trial. However, our main character is a detective that is about to discover something that is going to completely change the course of that trial. So this is going to be perfect for people that love kind of trial mystery thrillers, which I personally have always loved. A good courtroom, you know, a good jury duty kind of style. And there's another one on the list as well that is kind of like in this vibe. So after watching the movie Juror Number 2, I'm in the mood for more of this. Close Your Eyes by Teresa Driscoll, and this is adult mystery thriller. Matthew's job is to find missing children, but this time it's his own daughter that has disappeared. Matthew is a private investigator, and one day he receives the call from his wife to tell him that their 8-year-old daughter has just vanished, disappeared without a trace. Matthew is very familiar with all of these cases, so he knows the longer his daughter is missing, the lower are the chances that they're going to find her alive. So this is a race against time to find his own daughter. This time is personal. Losers Get Hunted and Other Treats, and this is by Stephen Barnard, and it's just adult horror. These are 14 tales of the weird and worrying. There's demons here, there's monsters with tentacles as well. So if you want to start the year with short horror stories, this might be one that you want to try. The next one is a second book in a series, but I don't mention too many YA, and this is YA horror fantasy, and I thought maybe some of you would be interested, or maybe some of you have already read the first book and would like to know that the sequel is coming out. The book is called Lies on the Serpent's Tongue, and it is by Kate Pearsall, and the first book in the series was called Bittersweet in the Hollow. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit what the first book is about. We follow 4 sisters that have special talents, and they are trying to investigate a mystery in their Appalachian town. People say this is a book for readers that have enjoyed Wilder Girls or House of Hollow, which are 2 books that I really enjoyed, and I have not read the first book in the series, so maybe I should. I think it's very interesting as well because one of the sisters has a very specific talent. She can taste what other people are feeling. So I love books with, you know, kids, teens, people with power, especially when it's a little bit of a darker story like this one, because it is fantasy horror. So this one sounds fantastic. No Place Left to Hide by Megan Lally, and this is a YA mystery thriller. I'm really excited for this one. I had to put this one on my TBR pile for the month of December, but December was a lot busier than I anticipated, so I might still try to read this in January. I read the author's debut called That's Not My Name. It was part of our Evil Book Club for my Patreons, and I really enjoyed that one actually, and I thought it was a very strong debut, so I'm really excited for her second book. When you read the synopsis of this book, it's given I Know What You Did Last Summer vibes. We follow a teenage girl that has all her life under control. Everything is planned. She knows which college she's gonna go to. She really cares about her grades. She's at a bonfire with friends and the guy that she likes, so everything is supposed to be great. But then somebody starts chasing them. Somebody that might know about what they call the incident. So apparently this group of teenagers have a secret, and maybe potentially because of that, somebody's coming for them. So it's giving, you know, having a secret like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I'm really excited for this. Wake Up and Open Your Eyes by Clay McLeod Chapman, and this is one that I am the most excited about. This is adult horror. Noah is losing his parents. His parents are basically always at home watching the same kind of television stuff, and it's something that apparently is influencing them, changing them. So this book is a commentary on television, propaganda, and a lot of other things. And that's why I'm really interested in this book, to see what you do with that and turn it into horror. So basically Noah is worried about his parents, and one day when the parents don't pick up the phone, Noah decides to drive home. When he does, he finds his parents in front of the television, and they seem to be hypnotized. They don't move, they don't talk, and everything in the house is like they haven't cleaned in a bit. The fridge has spoiled food, and apparently his parents are not the only ones that are going to be just staring into the void and kind of like not moving, not talking. So what's happening to people? Then we have Wicked Jenny by Matt Hilton, and this is adult horror. This is another case where something happens to a group of friends when they were kids in their childhood, and that thing that happens to them is something that is going to haunt them forever, and now something is coming for them. In 1988, 13-year-old Andy and his friends witness a murder. They point the police to a suspect. The suspect is never truly found guilty, but the suspect commits suicide. And all their life, this group of kids that saw the murder have been feeling guilty. And now, as adults, obviously, the past is coming back to haunt them. I know this is also a premise that, you know, we always get books like this every year, but it's something that I always love, because I love also books that go back and forth in time. I love a good dual timeline book, so I love to see what happened in the 80s and what's happening now and how everything ties together. Then we have The Hunting Between Us by Paul Michael Winters, and this is YA horror. They say this is Heartstopper meets Haunting of Hill House, so I'm already automatically sold. This is a coming-of-age romance ghost story, so I guess there's going to be a little bit of romance here for all of you that don't like any romance in their horror. Cameron cannot believe that the boy of his dreams has just moved into the House of Nightmares. So Cameron is really scared of these like Victorian mansion, and he thinks is haunted. But then a very handsome boy moves into the house, and I guess they're gonna be friends, and they're probably gonna have to fight the ghosts together. The new family that moves into this mansion that he's afraid of are actually people that flip houses. So obviously they want to take this abandoned mansion and, you know, renovate it, flip it, sell it, move on. So I'm really excited to see the dynamic between the boys, what kind of ghost story we have here, and I don't mind a little bit of romance in my horror, so this is one that I am excited about. Next we have Lupus in Fabula by Briar Ripley Page. These are 13 collected stories that are very violent. They are about violence, and they are about lust, they are about grief. It is about loving monsters, becoming a monster, about strange occurrences. So I think these are gonna be tales for those people that are looking for a more weird horror. Next we have The Doll's House by Natasha Boydell, and this is another adult mystery thriller. She lives in my old home, she dresses like me, she looks like me, and now she wants to become me. Naomi wants to move into a house, and for that she needs to sell her apartment, and the apartment sale falls through, and she's very sad because she thinks she's not going to be able to buy the house of her dreams. But then a single mother comes around and she wants to get her apartment. So perfect, you know, now she has someone to live in her apartment and she can just move into the house. But as soon as Summer moves into Naomi's old apartment, Summer starts to visit Naomi in her new place. She moves her kid to Naomi's kids' school. She starts to dress like Naomi, and things start to get a little bit too creepy, a little bit too fast. Next we have Metamorphosis by Ross Jeffrey, and this is adult horror. This is a haunting exploration of obsession, of grief, and of transformation. We follow Cynthia, and she's living a double life. She's also pushing the boundaries between madness and love. This book is about the transformative power of grief, and I do believe that the books by Ross Jeffrey that I have seen have all dealt with heavy topics, and some of them have also addressed the topic of grief. So I think it's one of his like strong suits. So if you like horror together with grief, this might be a book that you want to try. Next we have At Midnight We Possess the Damned, and this is by Andre Dusa. This is also adult horror. They are casual movie fans and they are fanatics. So our main character Gary, he's a fanatic and he's always looking for a more messed up, a darker horror movie, like something that pushes the boundaries of horror. Basically, the more shocking, the better. And at some point, Gary is like, you know what, I'm going to watch a snuff film. I'm gonna watch something that's actually shocking and real. But of course, by doing that, or at least wanting to do that, he's going to go on a very dark downward spiral. When She's Gone by Rhea Frey, and this is an adult mystery thriller. This is a hunting story that comprises 3 different decades. So we follow a young gymnast that is kidnapped and she manages to escape. But years later, her own daughter is also kidnapped. Our main character, Cora, has been working all her life towards the Olympics, and when she is about to make it, her own daughter disappears, and this brings back a lot of memories from her own kidnapping, and she's gonna have to figure out what's going on, if it's the same people, why her daughter, and I'm guessing this is going to be a book also that goes back and forth in time. Probably we're going to explore Cora's own experience being kidnapped and released or escaping. And also we're following her daughter's disappearance in the present. A True Verdict by Robert Rothstein, and this is a legal mystery thriller. So this is another one that takes place at a trial at court, and I think I'm gonna indulge in this kind of books in 2025. In this one, from what I understand, it's a big corporation that is being sued because some of their products have caused a lot of side effects to some of the clients, and so now we have lawyers trying to go against this big corporation. I really enjoy when we have like a big trial with lawyers and interviews and that kind of vibe, and I kind of miss it in books. I don't think I have read many books in the last years where we have like a court session and we have a judge and we have trials and investigations. And I have like now like the need for that, especially like I said after watching Juror Number 2, and I miss that. I've seen a lot of TV shows like that, I've seen a lot of movies like that, but I don't think I have read many books that include legal trials. Honeysuckle and Bone by Trisha Tobias, and this is a YA paranormal horror. We follow a teenage girl that is running away from her own past and her own secrets when she starts a new job as a nanny for a Jamaican family. They live in a beautiful Jamaican state, they seem to have everything, but as always, not everything that shines is actually a jewel. Their way up is death by Dan Hanks, and this is a horror sci-fi. There is a mysterious tower that appears over England one day. The strangers don't know why they have been chosen, why they have this countdown, and obviously they don't know what is up. Apparently they have to kind of climb to the top, so there's kind of like a race to the top, and in every level there is a trial, like a haunted house or something that they have to go through, like the stuff of nightmares, and they want to see by the end how many of them have been able to keep their humanity. This sounds fantastic to me, and I know, I always say it, I need to read more sci-fi horror, and this one, I think this one is gonna be it for me in 2025. JKLOL by Patrick Barb, and this is adult horror. We have a tech-savvy troll, and he hides behind the computer, and he's always, you know, trolling people and harassing people, everything behind a mask, you know, and the anonymity of being online. However, one day, he doesn't know why, but apparently the things that he has been doing are spilling over into the real world. So some of the people that he has been harassing are starting to die for real. They say this book is for people that enjoy stories kind of like the ones that you would find in Black Mirror. It sounds really good to me. It sounds like a little bit of tech into my horror, which is something that I also enjoy to see. So this is another one that I have on my list. Next we have obviously Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, and this is horror fantasy. I'm really excited about this book. It is a book based on the 70s, and it follows underage pregnant teens that are sent to a school for wayward girls, for girls that have been bad, and they're being sent there to basically keep quiet that they are pregnant, get rid of the baby, give it up for adoption, and then they can return home. And we follow the girls in this school. There's also witchcraft that comes around 20% into the book, and the witches in this book are very different, very fitting to the 70s. This has been my favorite Grady Hendrix book so far, one of my favorites of 2024, because I did get an arc from this book, so I was able to read it early. I am still getting my copy from Waterstones because I had it pre-ordered, but I'm gonna need every one of you to finally get to this book. Death in the Downline by Maria Abrams, and this is adult mystery horror. Drew wanted to conquer the world. He wanted to be a really serious journalist and be very successful in New York. Now she's back home, living with her father, in her 30s, single, and not having a really good time. One day she goes to the grocery store where she meets Steph, one of her friends from childhood, and Steph looks so good. She doesn't know why, but she looks so like young and perfect. And the answer to that is a multi-level marketing scheme. Drew is like, this company that it's called Luminous is a little bit too shady for me. And then one of their workers dies in mysterious circumstances. So Drew knows that she needs to investigate the company, and because she was trained to be a journalist, I'm really excited to see how she does the investigation, because I'm guessing, you know, a normal person would approach an investigation different from a journalist. Then we have The Home by Judith Sonnet, and this is adult horror. In the early 70s, a group of teenagers decide to enter a home that is supposed to be haunted, but they all think that it's obviously just, you know, the tales from the people, just like weird stories that they tell to kids, so they don't go in there. But there is a story about a killer that died in that house, and that they say his ghost is still present in it. Decades later now, those teens that entered the house in the 60s decide to go back to the home, to explore, to revisit. And I'm really excited. I love everything that is about haunted houses and discovering why they're haunted. I just love to see the background story of the houses. I think it's something that I enjoy in general. Like, I like to know who lived there, why did somebody die in there, who killed that person, why is the ghost still here. Like, the history of places is really interesting to me. Moving on to The Mother's Phone Call by Victoria Jenkins, and this is adult psychological thriller. We follow a mother that has no other choice than picking up the phone, calling the police, and reporting her own son because there is a dead girl. The son is most likely the killer, that's what she thinks, and she calls the police, and she knows she has to do the right thing, and the right thing is to report her own son, and she calls and says, I think my son has killed someone. But also, how far would you go to protect your own child? I think this is a very gripping, very good start to a book, to a story, because we have so many questions. Who is this girl? Did the son really kill it? Did the mother truly call and report, or did she only think about it but then didn't do it? Is she trying to hide the body now? Like, I have so many questions and I need to know. Next we have Bury Me Cold and More Last Words by Jacob Stephen Moore, and this is adult horror. This is another short horror story compilation, and in this one we have a total of 14 tales that basically have everything you can imagine in it. We have trespasses, abominations, resurrections, we have a haunted house, we have a psychic, so we have everything here. Next we have Madman by Matt Serafini, and this is adult horror, and it is the novelization of a movie from 1981, so I am loving that we are getting all of these classic horror novelizations. For people that maybe don't like horror movies, they can read the books. We follow Betsy, and it's supposed to be her final year as a counselor in the summer camp, and they are telling stories by the fireplace. Everything is supposed to be nice and cozy, and a crazy killer comes around and there is a lot of slashing. I'm really excited about this one, and I am considering to read the book and watch the movie because it's a classic from the 80s, and I think I would like to see the comparison between the two. Now, the movie came first. This is basically a novelization of that film, so I would like to see what they did with it. Next, we have more short horror stories. We have 6 O'Clock House and Other Strange Tales by Rebecca Cuthbert. These are tales about things that are in our everyday lives, but things that slip through the cracks, and strange things that we might see or not see, that we might notice on the street, things that blend sometimes with reality, but they are horror. Next, we have Strange Stones by Edward Lee, and this is adult horror that it is supposed to be Lovecraftian. So if that's something that you like, you're getting another Lovecraftian tale in 2025, already in January. We follow a professor that is obsessed with H.P. Lovecraft, so he goes around and he does presentations on that, and he's obsessed with it. A lot of people don't agree with his vision, but you know, he is very passionate about what he does, but he pisses off the wrong person. He pisses off a witch. So now she's coming for him. The next book that we have here is Mask of the Deer Woman by Laurie L. Dove, and this is a Native American mystery thriller. We follow ex-Chicago detective Carrie, and she has now been assigned to a case of missing women, and it is back to where she came from, back to her roots in a reservation. Apparently in that area, a lot of young women have been disappearing in the past years. So now they hope that one of their own, Carrie, can come back with all her experience as a detective and try to figure out what happened to these girls. The next one, I didn't know if I wanted to mention it or not because it is a graphic novel, and normally I don't really mention those, but this one I'm really excited about. It's called Bowling with Corpses and Other Strange Tales from Lands Unknown, and I'm excited because it is a story by Mike Mignola. If you guys don't know, I absolutely love Hellboy. I am a huge Hellboy fan. Ron Perlman is the only Hellboy that exists. Thank you very much. And I think this graphic novel looks fantastic. So this is probably one of the graphic novels that I'm gonna pick up in 2025, and I really don't pick up many graphic novels anymore, but this one, I just love the style. I just need it. Next, we have a book that has a beautiful title, and it is called How to Get Away with Murder by Tam Burnett, and this is an adult mystery thriller. We follow somebody that is absolutely obsessed with true crime and true crime podcasts and stories about true crime, which could be me, and then there is actually a murder, so everybody thinks that she is probably a suspect because if she's so obsessed with it, why wouldn't she be able to get away with murder? I feel this is an attack. This is a personal attack to me because this could be me. Because I have seen so many documentaries about, you know, unsolved murders or all of these things where they explain how they caught the killer, and I'm like, oh, so that's how they would catch me if I would do it. So I think this is going to be so much fun to read for someone like me. Next, we have Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson, and this is another adult mystery thriller. Our main character's job is to make people confess their crimes. That's how she makes her living. Our main character has a podcast, and the people that go to her podcast, I don't know, she has like this talent to interview them, to talk to them in a way that they will end up confessing to a crime. However, one day, one of the guests confesses to a murder, and that is our main character's mother. And she's like, that can't be true. My mom died many years ago, and her murderer is dead. Why is this person confessing to my mom's murder? So here's the mystery. I really like this. I love that we're getting more horror books with podcasts and true crime podcasts and stuff like that, because it is something very modern and we haven't seen so many books about it, so it's something a little bit refreshing. Next, we have At the Bottom of the Garden by Camilla Bruce, and this is gothic horror. Clara Woods is a killer. She's always been, she's always done it to benefit herself. She doesn't think it's a bad thing, and she has a beautiful garden, and one of her last late husbands is down there, buried in the soil, and her life is about to change when her two nieces have to go live with her because they become orphans. So now we have a killer taking care of two young girls. And we have now a little bit of a problem because Violet, one of the girls, can see ghosts. So she's able to see the people that are buried under the earth. So I think this sounds fantastic. I love it and I want to read it. Now we have the new Eric LaRocca book, and it is called To Dark I Become Loathsome. And what you can expect from his books is always very weird, strange, intense horror. There is a lot of the time some body horror in it, a little bit of splatterpunk, so you know what you're gonna get. And I love that about Eric. You always know what you're gonna get, but still the stories are always very different. They are also darker than the last one, and I'm really excited to see what he did with this one. Our Winter Monster by Dennis A. Mahoney, and this is adult horror. And look at this cover. I wish this would have come out in December because I would have 100% read this. I love this cover. I think, you know, if I don't get to read it at the beginning of the year, I'm probably gonna wait and read it in December. Listen to me, I'm already planning my TBR for December 2025. What's going on? But this cover, beautiful. We follow Holly and Brian, and apparently their relationship is not in the best moment right now because something happened last year. Something happened in a winter holiday and they have not been able to recover ever since. But tonight the couple is driving to New York and they're trying to basically be faster than a blizzard that is coming for them, but unfortunately they end up having an accident. The sheriff is of course alerted, but the sheriff also knows that there have been so many accidents already this night. There seems to be a creature on the loose. So apparently there's a lot of things going wrong in this one, but this one sounds like a perfect Christmas atmospheric book because of the snow, the potential creature that feeds at night in winter. I don't know if we're gonna get anything really supernatural or if it's going to be more of a human evil, but I'm really excited about this one. I'm also excited to see what happens to Holly and Brian and what is the secret, what is the thing, the incident that happened that has changed their relationship forever. And I have discovered how much I enjoy reading this type of books during winter season, especially after reading Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates and enjoying the atmosphere so much. So if I don't get to read these between January, February of 2025, it's going to be definitely my December TBR. The next one is another YA book. We're going back to YA and we have So I Lied by Chelsea Icasso, and this is a mystery thriller. This one digs deeper into friendships and we follow three women that are traveling together. They are on a road trip and a lot of secrets start to come out, and there is something that is revealed, a lie that they had told in the past, and that is going to change their whole trip. Next we have Every Fall by Angela Douglas, and this is an adult mystery thriller. We knew that being married to a cop, you know, could potentially, you know, be dangerous because obviously when you're a cop and you need to arrest people and you go after people, sometimes evil might follow you home. But there seems to be nothing threatening them. They're having a normal life. They're welcoming their first kid into this world. Everything is great until evil does follow them home. There's something related to her husband's job that is threatening them now. This is a book that tackles the trauma and the toxicity in the police departments and all of that. So it is a lot about crime and being a policeman and, you know, sometimes having to relocate because it's dangerous. So it's interesting because I don't think I've read many thrillers where they go deeper into that. Normally it's all on the surface, you know, you have a typical detective and their relationship with their work is always not the best, but they don't really dig deeper and talk about how it affects other family members, in this case his wife and kid. So this sounds to be a very promising mystery thriller. Next we have Old Soul by Susan Barker, and this is a horror thriller. Two grieving strangers meet at the airport, and as they are talking, they realize that their loved ones died in the same place, and both, before they died, saw the same woman. Now together they're going to have to figure out what happened to them. Who is this woman? Is this like a curse? Is anybody that sees her just destined to die. So I love this concept. You guys know I love this kind of legends, kind of the Ring kind of vibe, where you have a deadline after you see something or hear something. So this is another one that sounds very promising. And last but not least, we have The Lamb by Lucy Rose, and this is horror fiction. And this one I'm also very interested about. You see, because this is supposed to be a contemporary, very different take on a folklore tale, and I'm on board for it. So Margot and Mama live next to the forest, and they have lived in this beautiful cabin for years, and they welcome all the strangers that get lost and need a little bit of food, a warm bed, you know, to spend the night. And then after they help them, they pick their bodies apart piece by piece. This is a gothic coming-of-age tale, and I'm just really excited about this one. The story sounds fascinating. I want to get to know Mama a lot more. I want to know why they're picking apart these strangers, why they are, you know, cutting them apart or taking their body parts out of their bodies. Like, I want to know. I also want to see the dynamic and the relationship between daughter and Mama. Like, have they always been like this? Is that all the life that she knows, living there with Mama and doing these to strangers and being always surrounded by death and blood? And I don't know, this sounds so good and it's very intriguing to me. So this is another one that I have high on my list. Alright guys, so these were the 36 books that are coming out in the month of January 2025. I hope that you enjoyed the list. I hope I didn't make you impulse like pre-order a lot of books. I know I have already pre-ordered a lot of books for 2025, oops, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you found something here that you are really excited about, maybe some books that you didn't even know were coming out. Let me know down below if there's any other horror or mystery thriller release for January that I did not mention. And thank you guys as always so much for watching. If you want to support me and my channel directly, you can join my Patreon, and I will see you all as always in our next coffee time. Bye!